Hello, welcome back for another book review. So today we are talking about this one. So this is Animal Spirit Guides, an easy-to-use handbook for identifying and understanding your power animals and animal spirit helpers. This is by Stephen D. Farmer, PhD. So this is a decently sized book, but the reason is it's mostly a reference book of various animals. So keeping that in mind, if you're not reading this cover to cover, it's a really quick read. Because really you just kind of read the intro, and then you might skim a couple pages of like, ooh, what ones have I thought about looking into? And then like it's kind of fun to read through like the last part of it and the meditation, but other than that, it's just many different animals, so it goes by really fast. So that's pretty much what this is. It is a reference book. This is not a read cover to cover kind of a book. If you try to do that, you will get bored because this is a lot. Fun thing is you do get to hear about a variety of different animals, like some that you don't typically come across very much. Like how many of us on our day-to-day lives might have a lemur just come into their existence, you know? Like there's some random ones in there, and then also you have other ones like robins or like a dove that you'll see fairly often. Maybe not like right now because it's winter, but still. So with that said, I think this is a great book to have on your shelves as more of a reference guide, similar to like Cunningham's encyclopedias. They're not books you're going to read cover to cover, but they're nice to have when you need it. Now because of that, the thing with these kinds of books, it's always hard to judge how good the information is. Thankfully he does include a lot of sources, which is nice. I don't know that I agree with all of his interpretations of the animals personally, but that could also just be me. For example, like if I see a woodpecker, to me that has a different meaning than what's in this book, but it could be because I got a different message than the kind of generic ones he includes in here. The thing I really liked in this book is in part 2, whom to call on for specific needs. And then he just gives you like long lists of various things that can happen that you might want to call on specific animal spirits for. Like for example, trusting in abundance and plenty, you have like a huge long list, like a solid column and then some of different options. And then you also have like direction in your life and empathy and nonconformity and peace and harmony. Like it has just about everything ever, even creative writing. There's some in there. So like it's got a lot, which is awesome. And so for a reference book, I think this is great to have on yourself for when you need it. I would not recommend trying to read this cover to cover because I think you will get instantly bored. Because it's like, oh, that's interesting, but wow, it's not necessarily applicable to me right now. Again, similar to the Cunningham encyclopedias. They're great to have, they're great to use, but it's not something you want to read cover to cover. I mean, you might want to, especially if animals are like a special interest of yours. You might really want to know everything about them. For the majority of people, we just want to quickly glance at the ones that we want to, and then it'll go back on the shelf until you need it again. The meditation at the end honestly reminded me very similarly to one that Charming Pixie Flora had on her channel eons ago. Her channel is once again defunct. I don't know if she's gonna bring it back again or not, but at one point she had a meditation to meet your animal spirit guide, and this meditation is very similar. Since this book came out first, I think she might have gotten some ideas from it. But yeah, it's a very easy one to do. It's pretty standard, and honestly, like, I don't know if it's like the most revolutionary concept. I feel like most of the times when you meet with a deity or you meet with like an animal spirit guide, they're all kind of the same meditation a lot of times. But nonetheless, it's nice that he included it, and apparently he does have a guided one on one of his CDs if you wanted to do that. One of the nice things about this book though is that he doesn't bog you down on the details of describing an animal, because honestly, there are enough resources out there that do that. He doesn't tell you how to identify what the creature is that you're looking up. At that point you should know what it is, which is kind of nice because honestly I don't need to be described what a raven looks like. I kind of know. Instead, he focuses on 3 major things. He talks about like when it just shows up, what that means, and then going off of that second part of when to call on them, and then lastly, if it is your spirit or power or totem or whatever label you want to use, animal. So anyways, like I said, it's a great reference book. I'm glad we have it. I would not read this cover to cover again, but it's nice to have. Some of the meanings you might want to double check with other things, see what resonates with you, because it might not always resonate. I mean, that's going to come across regardless. Any source like that, you might find yourself being like, well, I don't know, I kind of find it different. Like raccoons, for me, have a different meaning than what he puts in that book. But again, it comes down to what you found before, because there's a lot of references online that you can easily access. And then also certain decks will include animal messages as well. And so sometimes those can kind of get caught in your head of like, oh yeah, that card means this card is for that animal. Just kind of depends on what one's kind of called to you and whatever, but as a great reference quick start on animals, I think this is fantastic. So anyways, I would love to hear your thoughts on this one in the comments down below. Thank you to my patrons. I'll have their names here on the screen. If you'd like to support me and get access to exclusive content, it is patreon.com/nightwillowcrafts. Make sure to like and subscribe. I post every single day, and until tomorrow, thank you so much for watching, and blessed be.